Good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this Auto Supply Chain 2022 conference with the theme Environment Friendly Agile Supply Chain. My pleasure to request Mr. Nitin Vyas, MD CEO of Bumer India, member CII National Committee on Logistics and Chairman of Logistics and Supply Chain Education Services of CII Institute of Logistics to chair this session. Over to Mr. Nitin Vyas. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Banu. Once again, good morning to everyone in the panel, members of CII, and the audience who have registered and watching it live. Welcome to Automotive Supply Chain 2022 Environment Friendly Agile Supply Chains, Session 1, which is shortening supply chains through nearshoring. International trade has been adversely affected in recent years. I won't say months, weeks, but years. By US-China trade clashes, then COVID-19, then Ukraine war, and the sanctions against Russia. Globalization as a concept is slipping into morasses of decoupling, regionalization, and even reshoring in most of the cases. When we talk about nearshoring or friendshoring, a word came by Ms. Janet Yellen in somewhere in April, and nobody knew what are the far-reaching impacts of that. And nearshoring, friendshoring, it's all about reshoring, or to be precise, safe shoring, getting the supply chains to be more agile, more resilient, and to be there. But it also raises a lot of questions when we are talking about safe shoring or nearshoring or friendshoring. It becomes an integral part of the supply chain. There will be trade-offs, and the cost efficiencies or inefficiencies will have to be re-looked into. And there could be, first victim could be the consumer who has to pay for these higher supply chain costs. But also it brings an opportunity to many of the countries, many of the nations who are part of this, so to say, friendshoring or safe shoring places, and they can be substitute. Only time will tell how it impacts, but today, I'm privileged to host this and chair this session where I have a great 6 panelists with a cumulative work experience of the 6 panelists is around 175 years. So guys, we'll have a 175 years cumulative wisdom shared on logistics, supply chain, trade, and commerce today. I have one of the senior most panelists over here, Mr. R.S. Kapoor, who is Vice President Logistics of Maruti Suzuki India. He has been working with Maruti Suzuki since last 34 years, and he has worked in different functions from production to human resources to spare part accessories and logistics. And if in Maruti Suzuki, when you buy a spare part, and if you see this MGA, Maruti Genuine Accessories, this hologram or logo, which is now copied or practiced by many other companies, it was conceptualized by Mr. Kapoor. So welcome, Mr. Kapoor, for this panel discussion. We have with us Dr. Balakrishnan, Vice President, Ford Motor Private Limited, with having quarter of a century work experience in the field of materials management, in materials planning, logistics, including budgeting and administration. He has been driving innovation, balancing the lean, resilienting, making a supply chain more resilient with critical thinking and synchronized material and information flow. He has also been able to establish collaborative relationships with Chinese and Japanese joint ventures. Welcome to the session, Dr. Balakrishnan. We have among us Mr. Sandeep Raman Sharma, Head Supply Chain Automotive Business for Continental Automotive here in India. Mr. Sandeep Sharma comes with almost 3 decades of work experience in leading high performance teams in manufacturing, sourcing, material procurement, strategy, formulation, new project management, and new project procurement in aerospace, automotive, and electronics manufacturing. And I think electronics manufacturing and semiconductor shortage, which is making a nightmare for everyone. We would like to hear something from you on this. So welcome, Mr. Sharma, to the session.
Thank you.
We have also with us Mr. Om Vijay Vairagya, Head Supply Chain Management, Schaeffler India Limited, and I think Scheffler touches almost all industries, and he would have great wisdom today to share with us. He's heading the supply chain management in Scheffler India Limited, and has been working for almost more than a quarter of a century, almost 26 years in supply chain management and logistics. Prior to this, Scheffler, he had experience in operations and program management in Tier 1 automotive industry. Welcome, Mr. Vijay Vega. We have among us Mr. Atul Deodkar, Head Logistics Endurance Technologies Limited. He has almost or more than 25 years of working experience in indirect tax, logistics, warehouse management, inventory management, and sorting and setting up processes and controls and decision-making, negotiation, business deals, and in team building. He is a person with commerce and logistics background with us. Our last but not the least, one of the most experienced panelists we have among us, Mr. B.C. Datta, Vice President Corporate Affairs for Ola Electric Mobility Private Limited, the future of mobility, the EV side, he's representing that. He has more than 35 years of experience in Texas in various capacities, and has 15 years experience in taxation and corporate affairs in automobile industries, in MOU negotiations for multinational automotive industries revolving around GSTs, customs, other regulatory and tax dispute and other things. Welcome, Mr. Datta, for this conference, and we look forward to hearing more about the EV and the issues related to nearshoring, friendshoring, and making supply chain resilient. So, not much ado, I would not take much time and let the panelists start talking about the topics. I would first like to welcome Mr. Kapoor and give his talk on the topic. Welcome, Mr. Kapoor. Please.
Good morning, dear friends. I sincerely thank CII for organizing this conference and inviting me. And a special thanks to Mr. Nitin for giving a generous introduction. So as discussed, the entire industry suffered on account of COVID and other reasons. Now we have gone past these troubled times, and it is time to move forward. Friends, today the prime concern for everyone is sustainable and agile supply chain. I have found in each and every industry, there has been a gradual shift from traditional road transportation. Following the government's objectives towards greener transportation, the industry is shifting towards alternate models like rail. I would like to cite an example in this regard. A decade ago, for finished vehicles, the share of railways was as low as 2%. Now it is more than 15%. For some OEMs, the share is as high as 25%. This shows the intent of organizations to promote a greener transportation. Even railways have started ramping up infrastructure to tap this additional revenues. In Maruti, we have extended the concept of nearshoring by setting up railway sidings in-house the plant to take care of the first mile. Friends, a modernized and efficient supply chain improves the ease of doing business, scales down the cost of manufacturing, and accelerates rural and urban consumption growth due to better market access. Few years ago, we had infrastructural constraints, which had a crippling effect on the supply chain network in India. With introduction of GST, majority of problems were resolved. The government is equally concerned and involved in enhancing logistics and supply chain efficiency in India. Recently, the National Logistics Policy was unveiled by PM himself, which aims to reduce the logistics cost from present whopping 13% to single digits. We are OEMs Our main USP or KRA is manufacturing. We are not experts in logistics and supply chain. Hence, every OEM outsources these activities to third-party operators, who over the years have transformed from service providers to solution providers. Now, with increase in competition, there is an increased pressure among all of us to reduce the cost. This is only possible in case of near-shoring, wherein you have more controls and reduced travel. Post-COVID, for every OEM, availability of inventory has become a critical aspect. Adequate inventory doesn't matter anymore. No one wants to lose market share and sales. Hence, majority of the companies are now shifting from just-in-time to just-in-case inventory systems. Earlier, companies used to have broad supply chains. They would source parts from China, Japan, and European countries. Now, OEMs are preferring to get a local suppliers so that the predictability can be increased. This nearshoring is now a big trend in India. The second thing companies are doing is that they are going down to their second tier, third tier, and fourth tier suppliers. Your supply chain is as strong as the weakest link. So if the tier 3 supplier is not able to produce, it will have a crippling effect across the value chain. Hence, this again calls for a strong, predictable supply chain. As per UNCAT's study, nearshoring will gradually increase among OEMs. Our company is anyway not that affected, as more than 98% of our parts are local. Also, whenever we set up new plant, for our major parts, big parts or voluminous parts, we allot adequate space for our joint venture partners or suppliers to set up plants, thereby shielding next to our plant only, thereby shielding our interests against any external factors. This is one of the major factors behind our continuous success. Imagine in Maruti, we manufacture more than 3,000 cars per day in one plant only, I'm talking. And if we start storing seats, say, for example, for a day itself, you can understand the space requirement. However, by nearshoring concept, we have housed seat manufacturer next to the plant and we get supplies every 15 minutes. Today's world is more complex. You have multiple products and variants. Hence, I would suggest to move forward towards digitization of overall value chain. Just fixing the issues tactically is not good enough in today's environment. We must rework and try for more innovations towards better forecast generation, product mix, scheduling, and sequencing. And remember, customer never waits. Thank you. This is all from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. It was interesting talk. Where the last line gets stuck, customer never waits. They want everything yesterday. But also great to hear about the alternate modes of logistics, what the country is using from 2% to 15% moving into rail. And I think that's a good thing. And on the nearshoring, your point about the first mile was also, I think, the point of NLP and bringing down this cost of 13 or 14% of GDP to 10%. I think that's the challenge as a country we have to do. And some of the commodities, it even goes up to 25%. And I think that's where everybody is aiming, whether with the nearshoring or with the friendshoring. So thanks, Mr. Kapoor. We will take the question and answers a little later. I also request the audience kindly keep, if you have questions, keep writing those questions in the chat box down there. You have a chat box, keep writing your question with your name and your organization and the question you would like to ask to which panelist, please mention that in your chat box. Don't wait till the end. Keep writing your questions so that we can collate those questions and start asking when the Q&A session comes. Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. And I'll further request Dr. Balakrishnan to give his talk or slides, whatever mode is convenient.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Nitin. And first of all, thanks to CAA Institute of Logistics and Dr. Banu especially. And she kind of called me and invited me for this excellent networking opportunity. Thanks to Mr. Kapoor. I think from Maruti, he has clearly brought down how the automotive business happening, and with the market leader like Maruti, how they are managing today the supply chain. I would like to emphasize few points in my discussion. I don't have any PowerPoint, so I will just go through. By looking at the topic, very interesting, and I clearly see the differences between the onshoring, offshoring, nearshoring, friendshoring. There are various words that we are using here, but at the end of the day, we are looking at localization. As a OEM, we always prefer to have a localization. Your supplier is closer to you, at least within the national border. And that way, we were able to predict, to Mr. Kapoor's point, effectively and manage the customer preferences effectively. Because if you see today, demand volatility is very high, and we are going through a lot of churns, challenges, and how are we going to meet the customer expectations? Always your partner, your supplier partner, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, which is closer to you, is always beneficial. Now, with respect to that, it's important to bring the visibility, because semiconductor supply chain has gave an excellent experience, and along with COVID impact, right? So that gave us an experience how to build the visibility across the multi-tier. It's not only tier 1. So you will have a problem in tier 2, tier 3. If you don't act on quickly, it is going to be a problem to meet your customer demand. So I think that's something clearly a need to bring the agility as well as the resiliency. So when you are talking this environmental friendly agility and resilience in the supply chain, absolutely the semiconductor, the visibility portion is very critical. Now, what OEMs do, I'm talking from Ford perspective. There is a significant focus on the circular economy aspect of the business. And also there is a technological intervention, like how you build the technologies to manage some of the challenges that what we go through. For example, you may have more capacity, the manufacturing capacity versus what the demand, right? So how are you going to manage that? I mean, not only at the OEM and even at the tier 1, tier 2, and how are we going to plan our sourcing process, how the sourcing process is going to work, and where you source. And in terms of when you do a near sourcing, your lead time gets compressed. In that way, you're able to procure the parts as quick as possible, which is also a beneficial. And especially with the current the situation in China and COVID, I know that a lot of companies started moving their bases from China to other side, outside of China, closer to Middle East, Africa, as well as even in Southeast Asia, some of the markets. Clearly, the sourcing footprint is also going through a significant change. And from the technology perspective, when we are bringing more and more EVs in the line, because I see a growth of EV is significantly growing. I know it will take some time for India, but I am talking more from the global perspective. When you are growing electric vehicles and exponentially growth, how our supply chain is able to cope up, right? And from the environmental perspective, if you take EV, your battery cost is almost 40% of your total EV cost. So how are you going to manage the battery? Where are you going to make the battery? How the battery supply chain works? If you see the battery supply chain, the entire tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, logistically is a nightmare. I mean, your raw material is coming from selected countries from your mining. till you make a battery and then try to build everything, right? So there there are a lot of partnership is getting created. Now I can clearly see the battery recycling model is coming up. So can we recycle the components and make use of those parts? And that is also picking up very well from the business perspective. So the digitalizing supply chain, making sure how we make use of the supply chain response quicker, at the same time making a quick decision making on a real-time basis, all that really helps to bring the agility in the supply chain. From the environmental perspective, I would like to share a few practices what we started in Ford and also some of the other OEMs I know in North America. One is the pack density improvement. We have simulation and automation softwares that we can make use of how to improve the pack density so that your logistics cost comes down per car, per part or per car basis. That's a good technology that is going to give us a lot of benefit. At the same time, bringing the environmental friendly portion as well. The second one, the tax. All our assets that we use in moving the parts, how can we make use of the Bluetooth low energy tags, which is also helps us in giving track and trace so that you don't lose some of your assets and along with the parts in the entire supply chain. So that is another portion I want to quickly share. The last piece, which is extremely sustainable factor, because we are not like Maruti where 98% of localization content. Obviously, we have suppliers throughout the globe. So we clearly see there is an opportunity to bring a recyclable frame tray. Okay, so it's a new concept, and this is clearly avoiding all your wooden crates and wooden boxes packaging when you are importing some parts. If you're able to use a recyclable frame tray, you can make use of that frame tray again and again by recycling it. So which is also significantly bringing down our logistics cost as well as your environmental sustainability factor. We don't need to landfill all these wooden crates and other things. So I just want to give some examples what way we can bring some technological involvement in the overall supply chain. So I would like to once again thank Mr. Nitin and the panelist for inviting me, and I'm open for any questions, maybe now or at the end. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Balakrishnan. We'll take the questions a little later, but I think you covered from the present challenges of semiconductor issues, what all the industry is facing, and to bringing the digitalization in supply chain for agility and resilience. But also your talk on the circular economy, on the more sustainable economy, sustainable automotive industry. And yes, the battery is a tough cookie in the EV puzzle. And I think you touched it, and that will be a challenge which logisticians have to work out, from the raw material to the finished good and to recycling of that. But also on the pack density, and I remember one of the awards, Ford did get award for, yes. I think I was part of that, so I remember. But the great talk, I think covered a big horizon, and we'll take the questions later. I once again request audience to please keep sending questions to chat. I'll keep reminding you with your name and the question which you would like to ask to the member. I would now ask Mr. Sandeep Sharma to give his talk of 7 to 8 minutes. Mr. Sandeep Sharma, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nitin. And thank you, Dr. Bhanumati, for giving me this opportunity. I would like to share my screen if possible. Is my screen visible?
Yes, we can see your screen. Please go ahead.
Okay, and am I audible, clear enough?
It's perfect. We can see you, we can hear you, we can see your slides.
Okay, okay. So thank you very much. And I would like to start my brief presentation. Very quickly, I would take those topics which have been touched earlier by Dr. Balakrishnan and Mr. Kapoor, also one of our esteemed customers. So maybe I'll go a little bit more on semiconductor shortages which have been facing us, and we are also equally impacted. And so just to give you a glimpse of Continental, Continental is present in 527 locations across the globe in 58 countries. And we have roughly 1 lakh employees all across the globe working, more than 1.9 lakhs employees. And Continental, just for the some of you who don't know, Continental division worldwide is divided into Continental Tires, Continental Automotive, and Contitech. These are the 3 major divisions through which we operate. Now, coming back to the topic, would nearshoring would lead to reversing of supply chain globalization? My answer would be both yes as well as no. So yes, nearshoring is always preferred, and we would love to have everything in the same country, but because every nation would like to protect its own turf first. This is my stand on this. And after 2 years of pandemic, a lot of lessons have been learned, not only by every nation, but by every company. And we are now restructuring all our supply chain and sourcing functions, that how it should look like and how to make our supply chains more safe, more non-disruptive, more resilient, and more sustainable, as explained by Dr. Balakrishnan also. So every organization is working in that direction. And if I have to take nation's example, for semiconductor crisis, every nation is protecting their own turf. US have been de-risking their semiconductors. They have recently announced a big semiconductor policy, and Intel is putting up fab plant there. Similarly, Europe is also doing the same. ST Microelectronics is putting up plant there, and China has been doing it for years together. I think everybody is well aware of the fact. So this is how nearshoring would definitely be more than welcome. But at the same time, we cannot ignore the fact that globalization is also necessary and required to have competitive pricing. So I would not go very deep into this, because earlier panelist and earlier session also captured, Shovik Banerjee, I think, captured all of this. But yes, we do get a lot of benefits by nearshoring. And first and foremost, which comes to my mind, is customer delight. All our customers have we get a delightful experience from our customers if we are able to nearshore, because it reduces not only our risk, it reduces their risk. We have a better customer demand management. We have reduced lead times, lower inventories, and our customers as well as ourselves, we also get end-to-end supply chain visibility. Now, what are the challenges which we, not only automotive OEMs, but also Tier 1 also face a lot of challenges, and I would put it in 2-3 buckets. Like, it entirely depends on which kind of commodity which needs to get sourced. So if it is a mechanical or electromechanical, so yes, we have been quite successful within Continental. We have been able to source all our plastics, castings. These are India is famous for, and we have been able to source. But as far as semiconductors is concerned, I think everyone is aware that India doesn't have that ecosystem. And now Government of India has also, after this pandemic, has realized this. And now they have come out with this policy of more than $10 billion to come up with the ecosystem in our country. And 2-3 proposals have also been received, and they are putting up the plans. And to tell you the fact is that in 2021, our imports related to semiconductors were to the tune of $55 billion. And it is projected that in 2026, it would be 80 billion. And by 2030, it would be 110 billion. That is only related to India and domestic industry. That is how the consumption of electronics and chips and microcontrollers is growing. Your car and our car is turning into a computer in a few days from now. So all the entertainment which you used to have in your home, will you have same thing in your cars? So that is how the use of semiconductors is going to be a very important, and sourcing of semiconductors, we have been facing challenge. As a country, we have been facing this challenge. The second aspect is that yes, Indian automotive tier 2 and tier 3 supplier base, tier 1 supplier base to all automotive OEMs have been big MNCs or big Indian corporate groups, but we need more strengthening of our tier 2 and tier 3 supplier base. Why I say so? Because many times I have come across the scenarios where price competitiveness, because in Continental also we keep on doing this, whether to sources from India or sources from somewhere else. But many times we have felt that even by putting all the custom duties and all the factors into picture, many times our Indian price competitiveness of our suppliers is not that great. So that is where we need to look into what are the factors. Yes, few of the factors which I have captured in my third bullet point is inherent infrastructure issues. But apart from this, I would say that technical competencies and financial robustness have also to be improved all across the tier 2 and tier 3 supply chain. That is where we face the main challenge. And apart from this, we face the challenge in reliable and skilled manpower availability across tier 2 and tier 3. And we don't get the as supply chain visibility as our OEM customers have been able to get in tier 1. Now, end-to-end supply chain visibility will improve if we are able to strengthen the complete visibility and across our tier 2 and tier 3 supplier base also. And yes, we have been successfully able to Make in India campaign, and many electronics products have been started getting manufactured in the country. But at the same time, these are some of the perennial issues which face our all industries, be it a regulatory issue, logistics issues, or increased tariffs. So these are some of the challenges which I would like to highlight. And in the last, I would say that in our earlier session, some words were used, and to mention our agile supply chain, which was VUCA. So I would like to say that now, just to emphasize that VUCA is now getting replaced by another word called BANI. And this terminology or acronym has been brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible. This term was introduced by James Casco from Institute of Future in Palo Alto, USA. Similarly, many two other terms are also in the same discussion going on. One is RAP and another is tuna. You might have heard of the same, these two terminologies. RAP is nothing but rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangled. So rapid is also in the same motion where chaos has to be accepted in any organization, or organization has to take that these factors are given, and we have to plan our supply chains assuming that chaos will continue to prevail. So these are the 2-3 terms which I thought I would share with you: BANI, RAP, and tuna. Tuna is, sorry, nothing but turbulent, uncertain, novel, and ambiguous. So other terminology in the same acronym which VUCA used to represent. So that's all I would like to share. If I would welcome any questions if anyone would like to ask. Thank you very much, and back to Mr. Nitin.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. If you can stop sharing the screen, would be great.
Yes,
I think thanks for covering quite a number of points, but primarily on the semiconductor and how we can de-risk. Though, yes, $10 billion has been pledged, I have my doubts whether the semiconductor foundry we can create over here, like what Taiwan has created over the years, and how Microns and ST Microelectronics and Intels are going across the globe. We'll see what comes in future for India on the semiconductor, but yes, that's a challenge being faced by everyone. And strengthening of tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, visibility, infra skill. I think we can all relate. Those are the challenges what we have. Mr. Sharma, can you stop sharing the screen?
I've already stopped one.
So I would now like to invite Mr. Om Vijay Vairagya for giving his talk. Mr. Om, over.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Nitin. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see you.
Perfect. Perfect. So first of all, thank you CII. Thank you, Dr. Bhanumati, to give me the opportunity to speak on this topic.
Can we mute if somebody is still unmute? Mr. Sharma, can you mute yourself? Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So yes. So thank you CII. Thank you, Dr. Bhanumati, to give me this opportunity and taking this very new and recent topic where like shortening the supply chain through the nearshoring or the friendshoring. So we all know that this new words are coming after after May, June onwards when they start using these words after so many volatility we have seen, so many disruption we have seen in the supply chain management. So we know that okay, from last 2.5 years, the whole world, all the organization are suffering because of this disruption, and not only the COVID, like after that also the Suez Canal issue, the geopolitical problems between the Ukraine and Russia, everything is completely disrupting the supply chain, and then impact are so big. And after seeing all these disruption globally, now people are thinking about the nearshoring, friendshoring, where the sourcing locations needs to be changed. But at the same time, we have to localization is the topic which already all the organization working from last many years. And the idea was localization was that only that how we can minimize or mitigate the risk of the long supply chain. So that was the things going on from last many years actually. But the kind of risk happened in last 2.5 years. These topics are come up very in the focus, very strongly, and organizations are thinking about changing the source location. This time might be not the localization possible because of any issue, but at least we can avoid the dependency of from those countries which are highly volatile in terms of various conditions. If we talk about the China, where COVID situation is also one of the big issues in the past, but after that, political situation is also quite unstable, and many organizations are coming out from that location. So, these are the few things which are pushing organizations to change the location and going to the area where, or in the country where they feel the supply chain will be much easier, risk will be less, and more agility we can add into the system. And I believe that personally that this nearshoring activities are going to take steps very fast. Benefits are very clear actually if we talk about the nearshoring and the friendshoring. So various benefits if we talk about, so first of all, we are mitigating our risk. So there is no doubt that yes, if we shift our location, we come to the nearby country where supply chain, my transit times are reducing, supply chain is getting shorter, then definitely my overall supply chain cycle time will be reduced and my risk will be reduced. As well as when we talk about the friendshoring, then we are definitely picking those countries which are, have a better conditions of the either political or other situations where risks are much lower. Apart from that, if we say like reduction in the cost, this is also one of the topic. Like, okay, currently might be if I'm buying from Brazil, USA, and later on if I shift to the Southeast Asia side, then definitely my cost will be also reduced in terms of if we shift towards the nearshoring as well as the friendshoring. Sustainability is also one of the topics. Like, okay, my fellow panelists talk about sustainability topic, where if I'm shortening my supply chain, then definitely my carbon footprint is also reducing. So as compared to US to India, if we talk about Vietnam to India or any other country, then definitely my carbon footprint is improving much better. So ESG is very much in focus from last many months and years. So if we talk about like, okay, how we can add value to from the supply chain side, then sustainability is one of the area where we can really support to the friendshorings or the nearshorings, as well as like further we can add the resilience in the system. So our supply chain will have more resilience in the system, which is going to handle the volatile situation in a better manner. We know that in the India automotive market is quite volatile. Demands are very volatile. In the some months, we definitely see like, okay, demands are increasing quite high. And in the sometimes we see that some demands are going low also. So this kind of a volatile situation needs to be handled in a better manner. And in this situation, nearshoring is definitely going to help us that, okay, if demands are going up or down, my supply chain lead time are shorter, I can definitely control in a better manner. All the inventories can be controlled in a better manner. So overall, if we see like how to, de-risking the business model without compromising on the quality and the service side, then nearshoring is the new trend, which definitely all the organizations are going to adopt very fast. Apart from that, I would like to touch one more topic of the use of technology or the digitalization activity. Technology uses is also increasing very fast in the supply chain management, and how we can, meet the challenging requirement of the Indian OEMs. Technology is definitely going to help over here. One big topic is like shipment visibility. Along with the technology availability, shipment visibility is now getting much easier. We can see the more and more transparency in the tracking of our consignments. Not only like tier 1 and tier 2, apart from that, service providers are coming with lot many technologies. There are new startups who are supporting us in terms of giving the shipment visibility. And this is also getting speed very fast. And this is really going to help to the whole supply chain, that if my shipment visibility is available real time, then definitely I can manage my inventories in a much better manner. Apart from that, if we talk about the warehousing side, then extended warehouse management, EWM, or the ERP linked scanners. These are, I'm giving the examples which our organization is using. So those things are helping in the warehouses to speed up the whole operation, and how we can make our delivery faster. Apart from that, government is definitely helping us a lot. If we talk about new logistic policy, and prior to that, if we talk about the GST era, then after that, people are doing a complete network restructuring also. In these terms, like after the GST, people has completed our rejigging of the network, where shifting the warehouse or consolidating the material. So these are the many terms which many tier 1, tier 2 are doing, so that consolidate the material and delivery can be faster. And then if you talk about last point, that the recent policy of the government, where they are coming with a unified logistic interface platform, where we are getting the real-time information from our consignments, our service providers, our containers. That is also really helping us. So all these things are really government is also supporting, and we are adding more agility in the system. So that's all from my side, Nitin.
Thanks, Mr. Vijay. I think you touched upon the reasons why we need to do nearshoring and what are the benefits of that. Sustainability being one, resilience being one. And I think, yes, avoiding the countries where we don't want, but I think that's a tough cookie again. That do we go with the geopolitical issues one has with US, or so it's a bipolar world or a multipolar world. This we have to see. You touched upon a very nice topic of ULIP also. ULIP, I believe ULIP could be the UPI of logistics, like what UPI was for the digital payment, ULIP could be for the logistics. We'll take the questions later. I think we are left with 15 minutes and 2 more panelists have to speak. I invite Mr. Deodikar to give his short talk of 7-8 minutes, please, Mr. Deodikar.
Thank you, Nitinji, and thank you, CII, to calling me for this discussion. When the call has come from CII, I asked question to representative, what is my role or what I can explain, because I thought this is something nearshoring. They thinking on the international logistics. But with the panel discussion, I am with the confident that nearshoring is not the international logistic only. This is for domestic logistic, because I'm more focusing on domestic logistic. But when we discuss with the some panel like Mr. Kapoor told that customer never wait, and we are the tier 1 for the auto component. We are tier 1 auto component manufacturer, and we know this and we experience this on daily basis. Customer never wait. So when we are near to customer, he is getting more confidence about us. This one 4 years before, our management has taken one goal that we should be preferred supplier for any OEM. And this goal is taken with the challenge. And this goal is taken around 2010 or 12. I am not aware. But what was the problem that time? That time there was a CST cost was there, 2% cost. When we are not nearshoring to customer is incurring 2% cost, and customer is insisting to shift your location, manufacturing location near to, because this was the globalization trend. And that time we were Indian company. People are saying that you shift your plant and you supply from local plant. Then after we open plant, we are having 19 plant across the India, across the all locations. But after some time, we observe that saving 2% to customer and incurring the fixed cost for the any manufacturing activity is a very costly affair. And then we thought to nearshoring customer by making optimum utilization of our assets. In between, government has introduced GST, and this 2% problem has been reduced, but the nearshoring problem is not reduced. But then how we overcome with this problem? We had opened the warehouses near to customer, and then we consolidated our business operation with the various plant to warehouse. Because now customer, our one goal was to preferred supplier for any OEM, and one warehouse is supplying at least 8 to 9 plants. Like Mr. Kapoor explained during their discussion, any OEM person, any OEM supply chain head want some comfort, because he has to handle around 1,000 of material. If he is getting some material, multiple items from single vendor, he will be very happiest person, because he is getting control, he is getting confidence, and with this, he will be preferred to this supplier. So we got this benefit of the OEM's requirement, government initiative, and our initiative also, so that we are always there a preferred supplier for the any OEMs. Then another, I had consolidated some points where the customer is getting benefit from the nearshoring and the supplier getting benefit from nearshoring, or there are some joint benefit. So this is already discussed. Reduce the risk of supply chain by nearshoring. Then cost saving, because if we are making some part and we are supplying to specific customer and the quantity is not as per the production capacity, then there is an underutilization of the working capital or asset. Then there is a cost is increase. But in this competitive era, like Mr. Sandeep Sharma told, there is still Indian industry is not competitive because of the demand and supply. There is a demand for 100 numbers, but my capacity is 1,000 numbers. How I can make a competitive like a foreign company? So by consolidation of the manufacturing activity and consolidation of the supply, commonization of the plant, I could be able to reduce my cost, and I am the competitive person in the OEM's door. Then optimize inventory. I can keep the commonized item and I can optimize the inventory so that I can reduce the cost. Then better response to schedule. This is very important. To response to customer never wait, because when we are responding to customer within some time, he is able to cover his line and there is no production loss, there is no other issues to customer, then he is preferring to the nearshore vendors. Then benefit to supplier is the fluctuated customer demand, because I will give my personal example. My brother has booked one car for Tata, and he has given multiple requirement. He has booked in the month of May. Till date, he is not getting car because he has put lot of requirement for the car. But OEM has to produce as per the customer requirement, and that's why they need to keep the different item. And if they are starting keeping all the items in their stock, then they will not. They require ample of space, ample of inventory, and they will not able to control anything. So that's why support of fluctuated demand is required from supplier. And if we are nearshoring the location, then this support is available to OEMs. Then another part is immediate corrective action. If there is something goes wrong in the manufacturing process, and if we are not near to customer, the communication time and recurring correction time is more. In that case, supplier is a loser, or sometime it will become a dispute point between the OEM. So when it is become dispute point, definitely OEM will not prefer you. So nearshoring is supporting that timely action from the supplier end. Then optimize production operation, I told to you. Then closer to market. This topic has not discussed by anyone, because we are supplying to OEM also, and we are supplying to aftermarket. So when dealers are there, and when they are like Amazon and Flipkart, what they are doing, they are confirming that I will deliver within 24 hours. I will deliver within 48 hours. So like that, in case of aftermarket supply also, if we are able to supply within time, then the demand is more, and they are able to liquidate their inventory at the time. They are reducing their cost, but we are increasing our sales. Once volume is increased, we are getting some other benefit. Then there are some joint benefits, like a reduce of supply chain, corrective action on shorter period, speed and actions by customer and monitor guide, then focus customer need. With this, when there is a tie-up with the customer and supplier, and they are communicating to each other for each pain area, there is a collaboration happen. With the collaboration, output is very great. Then can maintain higher quality standard, because if I'm supplying good quality material, then customer will be able to supply good quality material to his end customer, and his demand is increased. Ultimately, if customer demand increase, my demand is increased. So this is a value chain. So I should supply with the required material within time, with a lower cost and optimum and higher quality standard, so that the supplier is also happy and customer is also happy.
Yeah.
The only 2-3 challenge I would like to mention. The challenges is that, like I am working from tier industry, the challenge is that the cost of some additional cost is there. Yes, something benefit we are getting with the optimized production, but the cost of the such operation by localization, there is a higher cost. But OEM are not ready to address such cost. The OEM to start addressing such cost, because they will get benefit. Yes, I agree with Sharma ji. They need to compare with the international market rate and current rate. But if the international rate, they need to purchase bulk quantity, like a 40 feet container, or they need to give advance. They need to give advance schedule. In case of near schedule, nearshoring, they can plan their activity within some 10 days, 15 days time. So for that, there's some cost they need to address to tier 1 customers.
Yeah.
And another issue is the skilled manpower is not available in India. So I am requesting CII Institute to work out on this topic, so that skilled manpower will be available in warehouse. Then automation, OEMs are able to make automation, but the tier 1, they have lesser capacity to make automation. So some cost-effective solution should be available. Something is coming, but okay, speed should be higher. So if speed is higher, then it will be a benefit to customer and supplier both. And last is the transparent communication, because the professionals agencies are not available, are available with a higher cost. If professional agencies are there, if transparent communication is not there, then there will be issue for the customer, supplier, and all supply chain. So these are the some concern point. Again, I'm thank you to panel. They had given me a chance. I'm open for question during question and answer.
Thanks, Mr. Deorita. I think you brought a point of we can do nearshoring, but who takes the cost? Who takes the cost? And in the end, the cost will go to the consumer, whether he's willing to pay. Thanks for your talk. And I can see Mr. Datta is sitting somewhere in the airport, I believe.
Yeah.
Staff. So Mr. Datta, over to you last, but I think we are most interested in hearing from you, your talk. Over to you.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to CIA Logistics team for giving this opportunity. Of course, from the OEM, both Ford and the other person, I forgot from Maruti. Yeah, they have already spoken, and then, of course, from EV, I think that's going to be, it's a happening segment and the industry. There are many things that are happening, and as the government of India and all the states are putting a lot of efforts in ensuring that the EVs are there in place and they are being promoted and they are being encouraged, and all the customers are also encouraged to buy them, and by giving a lot of subsidies on that. There's a FAME subsidy already there in place for the from the central government point of view, and also, of course, the state governments are offering several subsidies. From Ola's point, we are setting up the world's largest electric two-wheeler plant here in India, and we will make 10 million scooters once our third phase is operational. And this is going to be huge, and we will also export it to many countries from here, and this is going to be an export hub. And electric vehicle is going to be, the center of technology. Our India is going to be the center for all these technological developments, in the sense that most of these innovations and advancement in technology and new products, everything will come from here in India. So definitely there are a lot of encouragement and support is happening. In terms of nearshoring, I just would like to very briefly touch upon that the just-in-time concept definitely is there in every auto industry right now. So all the vendors are supposed to be very closer to us. So from the supply chain, the vendors, of course, will stay very close to the industry, the main OEM, and hence there may not be major requirements from the side of OEM. But however, the vendors will definitely need some kind of a support and initiative. And in terms of our own reaching to the customer, as everyone has put it, customer is will not wait, or customer is the king and all that. But what happens is that the customer is now having many choices. So he will not wait, and then he will have many choices. So he will decide which one to buy, and depending on the availability. Such being the case, Ola has taken another step, that this we have started a new model of business, wherein it is directly from our plant to the customer's doorstep. So definitely this requires a lot of logistic support, and end-to-end support is definitely required. And to support that, of course, there are a lot of companies who have come forward and then doing it. In addition to that, the government of India has also supported in terms of connectivity to the rail, and rail also getting ready for shipping these vehicles from our plant to port or to the last point. And from there, of course, it will reach to the customer. Since most of the issues have already been covered in terms of logistics, I think I'll conclude here, and then wish to take some question and answer as the time available is very short. Thank you, Mr. Nitin.
Thank you, Mr. Datta. Being so precise and concise in the talk. Yes, it was great to hear about that Ola is putting up the largest two-wheeler plants which will bring out 10 million vehicles, scooters a year. And yes, just in time points you spoke about the, yes, customer do not wait, they have choices. We are in the era of abundance. I think we have a couple of questions. I once again ask audience to ask audience to give their questions more. I have a couple of questions with me right now. One is from, I think all the questions are right now from Kretana from CII. And this question, would nearshoring and friendshoring lead to reversing of supply chain globalization? And I think that was one of the points that we were in a globalized world. And today when we heard a lot of nearshoring was talked about and a lot of localization was talked about. We were in the era or in the world where we were talking about globalization. Now we are talking about localization. So are we going to reverse the supply chain with this nearshoring? I think a quick remark from everyone would be good, starting with Dr. Balakrishnan, if you can.
Yeah, actually, I see it, localization is good, definitely, but I don't think it will replace the globalization. So that's what I mean. It's about how you balance it. Certain commodities, the new technology related commodities like electric vehicles and batteries and those commodities, it is depending the raw materials and all that. So obviously you need to globalize. We don't have a choice. But if wherever you have a higher scale, if you're able to localize, like putting a battery pack assembly plant closer, but getting the arrays from, say, near the nearshoring nations, I think that will be a win-win competition rather than ignoring. It's definitely not going to go away from supply chain globalization from my perspective.
I think very right. It's not going to go away. It can be a globalization, global and local dynamic. And maybe if anybody else would like to remark on that, are we going to reverse from globalized supply chains to local supply chains with the term nearshoring, or nearshoring is broader than nearshoring? That Mr. Datta, if you would like to take on that.
Yeah, I think from go global to it is now go local. Why? Because during the pandemic, we definitely faced a lot of problems. Our units, suppliers were there in Pune, they were in Haryana, and many places. So getting them to the state where we have operations is one of the toughest. So end of the pandemic, we were like telling them that please come closer to us or have a setup near to the factory. So that makes sense. So instead of go global, as far as the component and supply chain is concerned, it is go local.
But we'll still have to get some raw material, cobalts and lithiums and all for the batteries from somewhere else in the world. But yes, we will have to balance possibly. Anybody else would like to take on that, Mr. Sandeep? I believe you are
on this side.
Yeah. Yes,
I would say that all of us have gone through, after this 2 years of COVID, a hybrid working style. So like future of working is hybrid working, wherein we work from home also and we come to office also. So in the same, I would say that future of sourcing would be hybrid kind of model, which Mr. Balakrishnan also suggested, that it would be both localization as well as we cannot ignore globalization also. So it would go hand in hand, depending upon the situation and kind of commodities which you are sourcing.
yeah, and I think Mr. Om wanted to.
Yeah.
And if you can add, Mr. Om, also on the key challenges faced by the auto OEMs to consolidate their supply chains, and also how OEMs are addressing that, if you can combine in the total question that.
Okay. So let me first touch the topic like, okay, it is leading the reversing the supply chain globalization. So as like very right term used by Mr. Sandeep Sharma, that hybrid, yes. So definitely we cannot ignore the our current buying also. At the same time, localization is taking a lead, correct? And our sourcing is spread all over the world in such a manner that we cannot ignore our current supplier base. We have to have the supply from those people, and okay, might be few sources we can replace, and we can do the localization, or we can come closer to our country. That is possible, but 100% is not possible. So it is going to remain there, and the buying will be from both the locations. Now the second question, Mr. Vyas, which you asked, that okay, how OEMs are taking a challenges or what they are doing to consolidate their supply chain from challenges point of view. So one example, let me give you, like Mr. Kapoor from Maruti Suzuki. So we are supplying to Maruti Suzuki. So one of the initiatives which we have seen from Suzuki side is that now they are collecting the data from the not only tier 1, they are going up to the tier 2, tier 3 also. And they want to understand the whole supply chain base, where the supplier is located, how much inventory we are keeping, in terms of whenever any kind of a difficult situation occurring, then how long the supply chain can survive. So, this kind of a detailed analysis up to the part number level, up to the tier 3 level, they are checking the supply chain, and this is how OEMs are supporting us basically to create a stronger supply chain. So this is how I personally see that some actions which we are taking as a safeguard to our customers basically.
But it has to be a partnership with the supplier.
Absolutely.
There is one question which I would like Mr. Deodekar and then Mr. Balakrishnan also to talk. In nearshoring, major challenge will be cost of raw material, how it will be addressed. And I think in a point it was said that it's not only just the raw material, but balancing the demand and supply and utilizing the assets, sweating the assets in the right manner. Do you have on that? So there is a, whether you want to do a nearshoring or to utilize your established asset to the maximization, maximum. So Mr. Deodekar, if you would like to answer that, what do you see? How does it balance the cost versus nearshoring?
Yes, I had given an example during my discussion that when the OEM were asking to open a new plant at each and every location, and this was working with the under capacity. So we decided to consolidate the operation and then consolidate the processes. So this has given very lot of benefit to us because we could be able to sweat the asset, and we could be able to optimize the output of the product. We can be able to innovate the product operation, and in case of logistic also, earlier we were supplying with the small vehicles. Now we are supplying with the 16 feet, 32 feet vehicle around higher load. The per piece cost is reduced by 30 to 40%. So if we go on the bigger logistic, definitely we are going to save on the longer distance cost. And with this, the local distance cost is very less. So this is benefiting definitely. Yes, there are some more control required. There are some risk of the slow and non-moving inventory, but this is a business. We should be alert on all the activity so that we can take action on timely, and we can reduce the losses on that.
Yeah. Dr. Bala, you would like to talk on that, or?
Yeah, no, just on top of what Deodekar said, Mr. Deodekar said, basically the scaling up basically helps to improve the asset, the utilization portion of the assets, and also a clear business case driven. See, again, on case to case basis, we should see nearshoring versus existing model, whatever the existing model OEM operates, which one is going to be beneficial. Clearly, we need to have a business case driven model, and with higher market intelligence, exactly, and understanding the expectations. Like I said, the expectations, the customer expectations keep changing, right? If you're going to bring some investment for ICE business, when market is moving towards the EV business, it is not going to play around. So we really need to understand that way we can take a right call by clearly understanding the overall business equation.
Yeah, I think it's more of a business call, and how do you balance it? I think I have an interesting question, and this I would like if Mr. Kapoor is also there still. To Mr. Kapoor and Mr. Balakrishnan. Mr. Balakrishnan representing a US automotive company, and Mr. Kapoor representing an Indian automotive, almost Indian automotive company. The question is, post COVID-19 and also with the geopolitical situation, US automakers are now nearshoring the OEMs in Mexico and Canada instead of China, South Korea. Will this change have any effect on Indian auto parts manufacturers as well?
If the question is to me, Mr.
Yes,
Kapoor there?
so question is, you can answer Dr. Bala, and I had also, if Mr. Kapoor is listening and if he's on the call, maybe he can also answer. Otherwise, to Mr. Balakrishnan, you and to.
Yeah. No, there is no impact to the Indian automotive manufacturer, that's for sure, because the component manufacturer, I mean, so if you take US, not only US of nearshoring this to Mexico, same trend I can see in Europe. Germany is a lot of nearshoring happening in the Eastern Europe, Hungary and Romania and all those locations. So obviously that strategy is, I mean, a collaboration and what way the border issues are not impacting supply chain from the duty perspective and the movements of goods, the freeness, etc. So, and again, the equation there is, I know the Indian component manufacturers having excellent quality and like TVS and some of the companies, clearly it is coming with a high quality oriented. So in that way, I don't foresee it is going to be a major impact from the component manufacturing and export perspective.
Thanks. I think we are left with only 4 minutes. I have more questions. Yeah, Mr. Kapoor.
Yeah, just to add to what my dear friend was saying, it's very true that the things are not going to change for our Indian manufacturers. Especially, I'd like to give an example over here of Motherson and Minda, which are even spreading their tentacles across the globe and supporting their biggest supply chain over there.
True.
Thanks.
Automotive industry is much matured, much organized in India, and I think they should be emulated. That industry should be emulated in other industries for getting it better. And as Mr. Deodekar also was talking about in his presentation, and also Mr. Sandeep Sharma about the skilled manpower, and I think that area, automotive industry has done quite a good, but if you compare other industries, it's lagging far behind in India. And I think automotive is still way ahead of all. I have one last question. I have 3 minutes left. One last question. I would like to ask Mr. BC Datta if he is still on. I think he's gone. He has boarded his plane or taken his personal logistics to move to the next destination, possibly. But I put it. The question it is there. What is the future of EV vehicle in India? Will it put an end card to petrol diesel vehicle? A quick two words from each of you, if I can get, then we can wrap up the session after this. So I start from maybe, yeah, Mr. Vijay again.
Okay, so let me start because we are supplying to major OEMs in India and impacted with electrification, but at the same time, our organization is also coming up with the new parts or new products which are going to fit into the electric vehicles also. So it is there, but at the same time, no doubt EV is growing very fast. But at the same time, IC engines are not going anywhere for at least up to 2030, 2035. Because a lot of dependency on the IC engine vehicles, it is not going, because infrastructure is also required for the EVs. So it is not going to go away, IC engines not go away very fast.
Thanks. Mr. Sharma, your take on a very quick one on EV, whether it's going to end the IC engines.
No, not at all. And I second whatever Mr. Om Vijayvargiya said. It is not going to end. And definitely, yes, every organization has to orient their strategies towards fast adoption of electric vehicles. But at the same time, both will coexist. And I would give example of Continental, like we have already brought in many advanced technology components for two-wheelers in the country, in India, for example, and we have set up a separate, division to cater to, because India being the largest two-wheelers manufacturer in the world. So we are bringing all those high technology components into two-wheeler markets in India. electric vehicles in India. So yes, we will continue with both.
Yeah, got the point. A very quick one. We are left with 1 minute, and Dr. Bhanu, can we extend by 1 or 2 minutes? Or yes, okay, great. So Dr. Bala and Mr. Kapoor and Mr. Deodekar, I think Mr. Kapoor is speaking.
Yeah. I fully agree with my colleagues who have given their views on the IC engine will be still remaining in the country, because what you see Delhi or Bombay is not India. And what we have been aggressively pushing through CNG option also, so which is still not available across the country. So slowly transition is going on. For hybrid, there has been a hybrid also. FAME scheme was launched, so that is also not fully implemented in the country. So you cannot ignore IC. It has to be there. Thank you.
Dr. Bala.
I agree with Mr. Kapoor. Actually, it's a balancing. And what I think, in my point of view, the number of complexity will come down in ICE engine. ICE engine will exist, but the number of offering that we give it to market customer will come down, so that the OEMs can gear up to make more BEV or hybrid and ICE together. And that way you can maintain a good mix in the market.
Great, thanks. Last words from you, Mr. Deodekar. On EV.
I'm agree with all colleagues, because IC engine will be continuing in India because of the availability of infrastructure and availability of power. Because there are a lot of villages right now, or a lot of area right now, power is not available. This will become a major problem. People are scared to purchase an electric bike. I'm with the view. The IC engine will continue.
One rapid fire with everyone. Yes and no. So nearshoring is the only way forward. Yes and no. Mr. Sharma?
No. As I mentioned earlier, also hybrid model will work.
Yeah. Dr. Bala?
No.
You made your point clear. Mr. Deodekar?
I'm saying yes, because I'm beneficial person for nearshoring.
Mr. Om?
No, this is not the only solution.
And Mr. Kapoor, do you think nearshoring is the only solution?
Not possible, sir.
Thank you, everyone. I would just like to quickly summarize. We had great pearls of wisdom today in this panel discussion. Mr. Kapoor brought from the concept again from JIT to JIC, just in time to just in case. He spoke about one point which was, I'll cover it in a moment, but also brought that digitalization is and a visibility in a complete value chain, not only in the supply chain, but the complete value chain of the product has to be brought in. And I think that's a takeaway from Mr. Kapoor's point. And Dr. Balakrishnan, I think he touched upon many points, but some of the takeaways I'll mention here is the visibility in the complete supply chain and in the multiple tiers, and getting the circular economy considered while you are doing complete manufacturing as well as the supply chain, which are even small little things like packing density or using the technologies like BLE, fifth generation or these. So I think, again, Mr. Sharma also spoke about visibility, infrastructure, availability of skill, reliability of quality. And he brought some interesting new terms other than VUCA, BINA and IPT. And I think we are all learning something new. But in the end, the bottom line is we need to have a resilient supply chains. Doesn't matter whether it is a VUCA or a BINA, which need to be self-aligning, resilient supply chains. Mr. Om Vijay Vairagya spoke again about resilience, about sustainability, and yes, digitalization. And also touched upon the ULIP part, which will be interesting for Indian supply chain and logistics industry. Deodekar also he spoke about availability of the skilled manpower, the cost benefit analysis. He spoke about whether the benefit of nearshoring or the cost benefit analysis one need to do. And Mr. BC Datta supported heavily that it has to be nearshoring. But he also spoke about that it is an era of abundance where the choices are there with the customer and customers are not going to win. With thanking everyone in the panel, Thank you very much for your time and your views on it. And thanks to the audience for listening to this session and giving your questions. Thank you, CII. Thank you, Dr. Bhanu, Shyam, Kritna. Thank you very much for making this session a lively one. And big thank you for sticking to the time. And we could do it just 5 minutes above because of our question and answer. But thank you so much to all the panelists for sticking to the time. Thank you so much. Have a great day and great session of EIA further in the day. Thank you so much.
We'll
Thank you,
resume
Mr.
after
Nitin.
lunch. We'll resume after lunch at 2 o'clock on EV adoption. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.